voice of the cards.
The Isle of Dragon! Right? Maybe. Hello, I'm Noah Price, your Christian gamer. I love RPGs and JRPGs. I love to just explore RPGs and, well, even non-RPGs and really see what they can provide as me as a Christian and just as a player in general for experience-wise. And I like to share that journey along with you guys, obviously. Little side note, are you guys into candles? I'm kind of an entrepreneur, a noob, a scrub at candles, and so I got these trash ones, and so they do this thing called tunneling, where they just go down, which isn't good. So I tried to solve the problem with a knife, a butter knife, let's clarify, and I just kind of cut it off. So we'll see how that goes. But hey, welcome to First Encounters. Really, another sideshow that I kind of do where it's not really a sideshow. It's just my first impressions on video games that we cover. So sometimes I try to do big old reviews, such as Skyrim. But as you can see, those are very long videos, and not only that, they take forever to make. So in order to bring more content to you guys and just play through more games and even play games I probably normally wouldn't play, well, here's first impressions. So it's basically me just looking at basically the first hour or so into a game, whether it's the game itself or a demo, and this is just contains whether any game at all, so it could be a classic, or most likely what you'll normally see is probably new games that just recently came out. Especially if it's a demo, it's just so much easier to do that way. So for instance, we're playing the demo of this card game. Voice of the Card. I don't like the name, by the way. It's kind of, I don't know, it's a bit much for me. But I'm a little surprised it's taken me this long to even talk about this game at all. Honestly, what had happened was I had originally saw it on Steam when it first came out on there, and I also even heard a little bit of it on Twitter. The problem was, when this came out, it just came out a little bit after Square Enix just put out Dungeons Encounters, which on my Let's Play channel here, Scrub, I did play through a little bit, and it wasn't the experience I was expecting at all. I thought it was going to have more of the Square Enix charm. Really, it was less of that and more of a not high budget game, which isn't necessarily bad, it's just not what I was expecting. And so that really did push me to not really touch this game or even look at it. I just focused on whatever I was dealing with at the time. And it didn't really help itself for me to grab my attention since it was a card game. Funny enough, I'm not really much of a card game player, mostly because I just haven't done it enough. I think I'm at the point in my life to where I can actually start getting into them and actually start enjoying them. The only actual video game card game that I actually played and enjoyed was Slay the Spire. That's a great roguelike, and I really enjoyed that. And the reason why I think I can dive into it now is since actually playing Magic the Gathering, it has helped a lot with my confidence towards, well, cards. Like, I feel like I can actually think about it and figure out how it works in a way that actually makes sense. But now, since playing Magic, I kind of have that weird feeling, just like I have with turn-based games. I'm weird. There's certain games I'm like, ooh, if this was turn-based, ooh, it'd be great. It's like a weird genre where it doesn't make sense. It's like, you feel like that'd be a negative, it'd be like a demake, but actually, for me, it has its own elements of fun and enjoyment with it. And I think I'm getting to the point where even card games are that point. Because what this game is basically a tabletop adventure played through the style of card games. Not card games, but cards. Like, all of it is just cards. Even to every single tiling is cards, whether it's the tiles you can step on and not. They are all cards, and everything is done in a way that's very stylized. And we'll get into it more once we actually play the game. But before I do jump into the game, one thing I need to make mention, yes, I am doing more big review games, and I just want to let you know, if you ever want one of these videos, these games that I cover here, to be a game covered later on, because I still can cover it later, let me know down in the comments. That's definitely probably the best way to do it. yeah, I'm your Christian Gamer No Price, and why not? Let's just jump into it. Why not? One more thing I actually should point out. I did learn this afterwards, after playing the demo, but it turns out the demo is a prologue of the actual game itself, which I actually really like. The Square Enix has been doing several type of demos that are basically the game the first few hours, and you can continue in progress through the actual game. I think that's a great way to get players in and make it so that they can tip their toes, and if they actually want it, they're going to most likely buy it. And in this way, I actually like it more because it's a different story altogether. It's a prologue that leads up to the actual game. And so there's enough of separation that once I buy the game, there's still that fun mystery of like, ooh, what's the story going to be, basically. Alright, let's go play the game.
Right off the bat, I really love the aesthetic of this whole game, and it's just its UI. All of it is just cards. Makes sense. This did make going to the settings of the game and trying to change some options around take a little bit longer than I would have liked, but I mean, it was a slight cost for it to be, honestly, I don't know, really aesthetically pleasing, honestly. Once in the game, we are introduced to our Game Master, aka really just our narrator for all intents and purposes. Now, here's the thing. I've never been one to hate voice acting in a game. I'm pretty easygoing in that kind of department. I think this is partially to do with me being more of an RPG fan and being used to there's never being voice acting. And so usually when there is voice acting in the game, especially RPGs, I'm all for it. But in this game, this is probably one of the few times that I actually kind of wish there wasn't. I say this because the only voice we get in this game is the Game Master. Now, I can understand this working for a immersion kind of reason, mostly because this game is supposed to be taking an aesthetic of basically a D&D type tabletop adventure. And so having a Game Master who does voice acting of the characters, and, you know, it makes sense. It's what happens. The problem comes when, well, if you know of a good DM or GM, a good DM or a good GM, what they do when they actually roleplay different characters or even narrate, they will, in some degree, actually put some emphasis into making distinct voices. I actually thought that would have been really cool if the one voice actor did try to do different voices to relate different characters, to actually try to roleplay. But that is not what we get here. The narrator says the lines as they are, and sadly, as it is, his voice in itself isn't actually that enthusiastic. Like, it's kind of almost like, ooh, I'm too cool, so I'm not that interested, but I'm kind of interested, and it's like, ah. And it was just really weird, especially since the game very much insists on it. Like, he literally says, I insist you listen to my voice. And for me, personally, I just felt more like, oh, this is supposed to be some kind of narrator narrating a book to me. That is where the voice would have worked. Moving on from that, the game does show off pretty early on that we will be getting some dialogue options. Sadly, it feels like role-playing games recently have slowly stopped giving the player choices. So, whenever I get a chance to see one, just like the voice acting, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And with the map being laid out, we learn that we are a party of 3 adventurers who are a part of what is called the Ivory Order. And we've been summoned by the kingdom's queen. It's kind of weird. Our player character in the overworld is a weird little object piece. Kind of feels like chess, but not really. It's kind of weird. We use our keyboard keys to move up and talk to the queen. Mostly because they don't let us leave just for no reason. When we talk to the queen, we meet the main character, quotations there, of this demo, which obviously is a woman with a certain style of outfit. The inappropriate kind. Alright, here comes my second rant. While I can put up with this appearance, it could be much worse. I understand that. I just hate how unnecessary this cleavage is, which in my case makes it worse. If for some reason the game did it in a way that somehow made it a utility purpose for the outfit, or even if the cleavage had some kind of purpose connected to the character, then maybe I could buy it. It's not something I would like if it was part of the character's, purpose and identity, but at least it made sense as a whole. What makes this so much worse is that I just can't take this character serious. If this character is supposed to be a grace-filled character who, from what I assume from the appearances, this Ivory Order almost seems like a church-like order, almost type thing. And so she just, for no reason, has unnecessary cleavage. I don't buy it. It just doesn't make sense. It just honestly sucks as a player because I'm trying to take this game serious and it just hurts. Now, you could say I could be biased, and maybe I am, because I don't have too much of a problem of our barbarian friend who is part of the party, who barely has a shirt on, but at least that's like part of the barbarian character archetype, and that you could argue maybe has some kind of purpose within its actual wear for combat. Maybe not. Maybe I am a little bit biased. Let me know down in the comments if you have problem with like guys having that, because it is kind of shown in a way also where it's like see his Ripley muscles. But yeah, no, I don't like it. I don't like it. It's a real bummer right off the bat. But rant over, moving on. The queen has summoned us, and she has summoned us to help her retrieve a stolen royal treasure. A treasure so valuable that the queen is willing to reward us with anything we desire in return. The item that was stolen, it turns out to be a bottle containing a certain liquid. Yep, very descriptive and definitely not vague. So, yeah, we're definitely going to find it. Either way, it seems that whatever it is, without it, the kingdom will be doomed. Oh no! So I guess we better cast haste and scurry on down to the nearest town called Nexton to see if anybody knows anything about it. Before that, let me just prove my earlier rant a little bit. Let me show you this little bit of dialogue between the characters, kind of show what I'm talking about, this problem with this voice acting and how it just doesn't quite work.
Winifred strides toward town. Wait, cries Berwin, blocking Winifred's path. A monster. You dare stand in our way? Hedwin scowls at the foul creature.
Again, the voice acting's not bad, it just doesn't necessarily fit the game. But finally, we're at combat. Let's see what this game is playing with. So, we are told to drag our magic strike card to deal damage, which is indicated on our player card alongside with our health in the middle and our defense on the right. So, we deal 9 minus the 4 from the Goat Boy's defense, allowing us to do a clean 5 damage. And ooh, do I love this aesthetic of this combat. Just so much of it. It's so simple, but beautiful. Like, I love how the health looks like a little wax indicator type thing that, like, it just looks so aesthetically pleasing. And then even when you do a little bit of damage, it gets cracked and just, ooh, I just love how this looks. Moving on to our wizard dude, he has a move that generates a gem, which we learn later is basically our mana / skill type thing, which is necessary for using certain cards. The Goat Boy uses Buy to temporarily boost his attack. Glad this isn't Pokemon. But it doesn't matter because our Barbarian casts a Lightning Strike, which uses one of our gems, but also we use a D6 to add an additional attack bonus, zapping the Goat Boy. And I'm really glad that there's not only cards in this game, but there's also dice. I love it. I love it. After dealing 7 damage, we flame the cut little fur ball, which it was weak to, showing that there is weakness and probably also resistances to worry about. And on the ending of the victory screen, we get XP, which means there's hopefully level ups. Ooh, I love levels, yes! But hey, let's head down to Nexton. We learned that this is a hardcore RPG, or at least a typical one. In that, well, there's inns and armorers and basically a lot of places to go to at the town to make sure to shop and be well equipped for the journey ahead. And also, there's a game parlor. Nice. Instantly, my RPG muscles just kick in, and we go straight to the armorer to buy as much equipment as we can. Even though this is a demo, so I think it's really that worth it, but After armor, we move our piece on the silhouette card where we reveal a NPC who shares her fear leaving outside because of the monsters. We later then move and we talk with a greeter who only greets us. I don't know what I was expecting. We do try to ask him if he knows anything about the thief. Yeah, nope. Creepy. Moving down, we meet a old lady who needs carrying to the apothecary for healing. And the game uses this to teach us that, hey, if there's a tile that's revealed and you can see it, you can instantly jump to it, moving past some tiles. And I think this is basically the fast travel in this game. At least I can see it being a great way for backtracking in case this game is a pretty big RPG. But after getting more information about where this thief may have gone, we decided to take a break since I found the game parlor. I'm always kind of interested in these Square games and see what kind of little side games they like to put as mini games in their games. It's weird that they tend to do this like all the time. Talking to the kid, he says he will give us a said card if we play with him. I always love having little side quests and side games to unlock potential rare cards or rare items or rare abilities in games. Oh, I love it. So, let's learn the game so that we can hopefully get this card. This game is basically a fun little matching game. It mostly relies on building pairs, maybe a small little straight, and out of a set amount of cards, see who can, at the end, have the highest number of points based on how much their pairs make up. Like, if you have a pair of 2, that'll be 4 points, while if their opponent has a pair of 6, they'll have 12 points, and they'll beat you. There's a little bit more into it, but it's a pretty fun game and actually had my interest. Doesn't really make sense lore-wise that there's monsters on the cards that the people are scared, but who cares? I love seeing the monsters on the cards. It's cool. But with the tutorial over, let's jump into the game with this young lad and see if we can win the card from him. It honestly started off with the house getting a 8, which is the highest in this game mode, while I only got a 2. Oh, but it also just didn't get better after that. I kept playing the match just to see if there would be enough time for me to maybe come back. It honestly was not a great game. And at the end, I did almost come back, but I lost by 4 points. But because of wording that I didn't really catch, it turns out I didn't have to beat the kid to get the item. I just had to play with him. The game was just like, hey, please play this side game. Check it out. And hey, we got this card. Great. We resume our search and learn that the thief is most likely a Skelly boy who went west. So, time to journey to the west. Which also means time to take on some enemies out in the overworld. We finally get told about the gems in the corner that we've been seeing. Looks like we can only have a max of 10, and it turns out we get a gem at the beginning of every action we take. So for us right now, it's still just pretty much a straightforward, just attacking as hard as we can, and maybe also try and find the enemy's weakness if possible. And that's just because all the cards we have that do have gem parts in them only cost 1, so we're making as much as we're potentially spending. And yeah, we got our first crit. Not the most flashy, but I'm honestly glad that there's crits in this game. Oh, I love crits so much. Yes! And look, we leveled up. So far, it doesn't seem that we have choices with our build. Maybe in the main game, you'll get some choices, maybe in your team builds and like maybe potential moves of different cards. Right now, we're pretty limited. It is a demo, so it's hard to tell. But we did get a new move called White Light, which is our first 2 gem cost card. Love to have it. I love to be more powerful. Oh, and also the rest of the party leveled up too. Cool. With also the old man getting a wind spell. All right, let's see how good this white light is. Oh, yeah, it's pretty good. While exploring, we find a treasure chest, which gave us an antidote. Always good to have protection to deal with poison, if there's anything I learned from Pokemon. And this is about the point where it starts kicking in. My OCD. I don't have a big OCD problem like some people. Like some people can have it bad. I have a little bit. And honestly, oh my gosh, just a part of me really badly wants to uncover this map completely. So I try exploring and I'm reminded that this is a demo. So I guess there's no uncovering the map yet. As we keep moving west, we run into a traveler who, when asked about where our prey may be, we are told that we will have to cross the sea to a cave that's filled with monsters. He also lets us know to not worry that, hey, there's a fisherman on the western shore and maybe he can help us out. So, after clobbering more monsters, we run to an event. Not an NPC, an event. Turns out there's a monster who's poisoned. Good thing we have an antidote. Or is it? Well, we get a choice to whether help the monster or not. And while part of me would like to see what would have happened if we didn't help it, I can't help but be a good Samaritan. So, we give the antidote, and the monster just runs away. Yay! It's all good, because right next door, we find a ship and a very muscular fisherman named Rockly. Come on, you can't tell me it doesn't look like Rockly. Come on. The fisherman tells us that he is willing to help us if he had a ship he could use. Well, the ship that's nearby we can't use because it's cursed. And if only there's a way to disenchant it. It's kind of funny that it just so happened that we were able to get the card that actually needed. Always feels very satisfying. Like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. So we easily just disenchant it with the card we won from playing the game. And with that, we just easily jump on the ship and teleport into the cave. Instantly right away, we roast a weird looking ogre. And we got a new spell, which seems like it could be powerful. And we also got to choose a chest from defeating him. I guess that's a rare possibility in some of these enemies. And the item we got from him was a revive for one of our teammates. Now, let's see. What can the new free spell do? Oh, sadly, I guess we didn't roll good enough, so we don't get to freeze it, but hey, that's still pretty good damage. And with some kicks, we slayed the ogre. We later found a chest where we got a magic staff, which I'm pretty confident our old man could use. Yes, more power. We travel further down and find a door that, well, needs a key. Well, time to explore some more to find a key, which also means bodying some skeletons, which then we got another random chest, and that we got a salve, which is basically a potion. And after that, exploring upwards, we found a chest that has a simple key. So while trying to teleport back and bounce that way back, we run into another ogre. So this time, let's see if freeze can actually do its thing. Luckily, we rolled a 6 and succeeded in the freeze, which made the ogre not able to move until we attacked it again, in which case it would take double damage. Pretty powerful. I actually really love that. And after taking out the ogre, we made it to the door where we are able to go even deeper in the cave. Down there, we found another door, but a little bit different. The game introduces a cheeky mechanic where you could possibly slightly see the card's outcome that you might choose before you actually pick it. Sadly, I was reading it as I was trying it out, so I accidentally just picked the wrong card. It didn't matter. Our barbarian was silly enough to break through it. I love it. I love it. It was really silly. Reminded me of Mix from Baldur's Gate 2, but silly stuff. It's great. Heading upwards some more, we find another chest, but this one's all alone, which seems to be the treasure we're searching, which also means boss time! Well, part of me wanted to save a gem so that I could actually use freeze. I already know that white light would be super effective against Skelly since he's a dark boy. So we choose to do big boy damage. And already the main boss is bloodied. We take a puny 7 damage and then deal fire damage against the super slime since fire is super effective. And with the crit, we were able to actually one-shot one of the slimes. The other slime retaliates with 2 damage, and with saving gems for our holy blast, we deal just a normal 14 damage to the slime. The Skelly regenerates a little bit, which made me a little bit scared we weren't going to kill it, but the white light did just enough to erase the thief. Now we just have to deal with the slime. The old man misses to hit the slide, which is kind of embarrassing a little bit, forcing the barbarian to finish off with a full swing. And we got victory. Yay! And in the chest, we were able to get the medicine bottle thing that we needed. So, time to get teleported back to the queen. The queen is grateful to have the royal treasure, but before she's able to reward us with anything, there's a massive roar from what appears to be a dragon. And that is where this tale ends.
How many times do I have to say that, like, I can't believe I actually almost just missed this game. There's so many elements into it that makes me very fascinated in the game. Like, for one, okay, I didn't mention this, but like sometimes the side games that Square Enix makes, their side mini games inside the game, sometimes they're a hit and miss. Sometimes I'm like, whatever. This one, I was like, I can see myself playing that actually a good amount. It's a really fun game. But outside of that, just having a game that has enough of not only a tabletop, almost like D&D kind of feel to it, but also a Final Fantasy mainline game story. And obviously, because this is a demo, I don't know how deep the story goes or how interactive it is. I don't know how many party members, or even if you get so many cards or spells that you would have to switch out cards and pick which one you're going to have, or if you just has a big old list of cards to have. I really don't know, but from what little they gave me in the bare bones, even if that was all it was, I still think it would be a very enjoyable game to play. I'm not saying you should comment down below to say for me to cover this game, but you know, I wouldn't hate it too much. But if anybody's wondering if you should play this game or not, I highly recommend the demo. It's free, it only took about an hour to play, and it was very fun and got me really excited to play the main game. Yeah, no, the OCD side of me, I wasn't expecting that until I started getting into the open world and be like, ooh, I kind of want to uncover everything here because I don't want to miss anything. I do think it's mitigated through the idea that you could just teleport to a spot that you can see still and it's revealed. I think that's a great little thing to help with like backtracking or anything like that. I can see that being very helpful. Also, the choices, so far they didn't show too many choices that seemed like it was very impactful. They're all pretty like lightweight kind of stuff, but like I could see them actually doing some heavy, well, not probably like too game-breaking, game-changing, but still enough to where it feels like your choices do kind of matter in the games that they normally do in RPGs. But yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, really, the only problem I had was the two little niggas I had was the voice acting, which was the one voice actor, and then really just the female lead character. But that's like, what are you gonna do? That's a typical JRPG fantasy woman character, am I right? I hate it. It sucks. It really does. I do not like it. Again, if it at least had some kind of connection to a story, but whatever. I did hear that, like, in the actual story itself, it's actually different characters, so maybe it's I don't know. I can get my hopes up, I guess. One last time, I love the aesthetics of the game, even the game board itself when you're actually in combat, the little wax, almost hearts shaped, and I think it just felt very aesthetically pleasing, at least to me. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, I like the demo. I think the game's probably good if it follows a lot of the bare bones that it presented in the demo, just on its own. And there's nothing really that seemed like anything really bad. The only problem I had that I thought was kind of bad was the main character, but even that's not too bad. It's slightly enough where it's like, come on, this is unnecessary. I see what you're trying to do. Don't like it. Don't like it. The voice acting, not really the best, but you can just turn off the voice acting, which I probably will do if it's just the narrator the whole time. I probably will do that. But yeah, let me know down in the comments if you want to see me play this game, or let me know down in the comments if you want me to play through a impressions, a first look, a first encounter type video, so like this, on any kind of game, preferably RPG or JRPG, but for any kind of game, and or if you want me to cover this game in a big old review, or a different game in a big old review, let me know down in the comments. And you know what? Jesus loves you. Bye.